Hello. Now, throughout the years, I've done so many different kinds of work, but never this kind. A narrator of a documentary film. So why now? Why this film? Well, because it is an important film with an important message. Created by a man that I've admired for years, Jean-Michel Cousteau. Now, when I first saw the footage, I have to admit, I was blown away. So I knew I wanted to be involved in some way. And that's precisely Jean-Michel's aim, to get people involved. Jean-Michel reminds us that we all need to contribute to the change that must come. But the decisions our leaders make and the choices we individuals make will determine the future of the ocean and our own survival on planet Earth. As governor and now as private citizen, I too have been fighting for change and for a clean environment and to make people aware of this very important issue. So, I'm pleased to lend my voice to this unique film experience. Jean-Michel has created a declaration of love to the living beauty of the ocean. Because, like his father Jacques Cousteau, Jean-Michel.
And my children, Céline and Fabien, without a doubt, they too are Cousteaus, working to raise awareness, to affect opinion through their own expeditions and their own films. But this time, it was important for me to invite them along to combine forces, you might say.
It's actually been years since we did a project like this together.
It's big and ambitious and important.
Who could say no? Ahead, a voyage of over 8,000 miles to explore some major ocean habitats. And we start here, in Fiji. Marine biologist Holly Lohais and cinematographer Gavin McKinney round out the team and are practically family as well.
Jean-Michel is really excited about the new technology. That's a big part of his motivation this time around.
The aim is to capture not only large sea life, but also the smallest creatures and tiniest movements, and behaviors that even divers have never experienced.
Here and all around the tropics is the pulsating heart of the ocean, the coral reef. If we compare the endless waters of an ocean to the endless sands of the desert, then the coral reef is its oasis. When the reef is healthy and thriving, it is a haven full of life. But what are coral reefs? They look like stone, but they are alive. They look like plants, but in fact, they are all animals. Tiny sea creatures called coral polyps huddle together in colonies and form a common limestone skeleton for protection. Skeletons build on skeletons and over centuries grow into great rocky structures. We know of about 800 different species of coral, and different they are. Some build rigid limestone castles around themselves, and some are soft and sway gently like grass in a breeze. And yet others, like the sea fans, remind us of the leaves of some exotic vegetation, or this curled up basket star. But they're all animals. They are in fact gentle predators that move and hunt in their own subtle way, not only to survive, but to secure the survival of the ocean.
The variety of form and color of the corals is stunning. Their motion may seem like the passive swaying of straw in the breeze, but what you see is in fact the deliberate reaching, grabbing, and devouring of a hungry hunter.
We are so easily impressed by the larger species, the darling dolphins, the scary sharks, the whales and walruses. But this time, I also want to capture the tiny wonders, not only for their beauty, but for their significance. Meet the Christmas tree worm.
They are tiny and timid and flamboyant. The Christmas tree worm, like so many other sea creatures, have a name inspired by their particular appearance. But the Christmas tree worm is more worm than tree. For its meals, it unfurls its feathery plumes and filters plankton from the passing current.
Plankton means wanderer or drifter, the small of the microscopic organisms. Now, for many of these stationary reef dwellers, like the coral clam or this feather duster worms, food that delivers itself is a necessity.
It's so large, it may be hard to spot in its surroundings here on the seafloor. Right before me is a giant clam.
The clams we eat for dinner may each weigh 1 or 2 ounces, but a giant clam can weigh over 500 pounds and live for a century. It's impressive that an organism that can't hunt or gather, and it can't move around at all, manages to attain such proportions. Two items are on a menu: the plankton it filters from the currents, and the food produced by algae that lives within its fleshy interior. although it's both male and female, it can't inseminate itself. The giant clam discharges both sperm and eggs into the ocean currents and never meets its mate.
Survival, at its most fundamental level, is dependent on two factors: eating and not being eaten. Nature has provided its creatures with survival strategies of endless variety and creativity, often involving unlikely alliances.
A sea anemone looks harmless, even inviting, as it sits there on that reef. But when small creatures venture too close, they are quickly disabled by stinging tentacles and captured and consumed. With the exception of this fish, the clownfish. Clownfish have mucus coating that makes them immune to the venom. In exchange for a safe haven, the clownfish guards the anemone and chases away fish that may try to eat its tentacles. It's one of many mutual defense alliances you will find on the reefs.
A similar symbiosis occurs between another anemone species and the colorful crustacean of the Atlantic known as Peterson's shrimp. This cleaner shrimp is not inherently immune to the anemone's poison, but rather works at the tolerance by rubbing itself against the tentacles for increasing amounts of time.
This cleaner shrimp sways on the deadly tentacles, as if to taunt anyone passing by saying, "My domain, you are doomed."
As a child, I dreamt of building fantastic underwater cities and even studied architecture to realize that dream. But what can compete with the beauty of the reefs, of nature's masterful design of even the smallest details? Behold, the humble flatworm.
They are the small, multicolored magic carpets of the reef, and their equally colorful reef companions, the nudibranchs.
Nudibranch means naked gill, which is the plume that we see on their backs. But there are over 2,000 species of nudibranchs, none of which are particularly speedy. Nudibranchs lay eggs in a variety of fascinating shapes. The white sparrow is an egg case which is attached to the rock. The egg case provides nutrition and protection.
We gather here to examine another of the reef's curious inhabitants, the banded coral shrimp.
They dine on scraps that no one else wants. Plus the parasites, fungi, and damaged tissue they pluck off the fish that come to them for grooming. The survival strategy of the banded coral shrimp, like all cleaner shrimp, is to make themselves indispensable by providing a unique service. They advertise with their supersized antennae. When they find a suitable spot, they settle there for up to a year. And when they find a suitable partner, two remain together for the rest of their lives.
The health of the coral reef is dependent on a delicate ecological balancing act. Altering one parameter can have unforeseen consequences. Take, for example, the crown of thorns starfish.
With up to 21 thorny arms and a venomous spine, it creeps along, molding itself perfectly to the reef's contour. The crown of thorn starfish then proceeds to suck out the living flesh of the coral polyps, leaving behind a white scar and a wounded reef.
Normally, these starfish pose no danger, but recently their population has grown alarmingly, threatening the health of many reefs. One reason for this is the disappearance of animals that normally feed on them. So where are these predators?
Maybe on your bookshelf. The beautiful Triton's trumpet, a popular boardwalk souvenir, is one of the few reef dwellers that feeds on crown of thorn starfish. But as long as it is collecting dust for you, it's not contributing to nature's delicate balancing act.
We await a new arrival. He is a marine ecologist, a colleague of mine from countless expeditions through the years, and above all, a good friend, Dr. Richard Murphy. He joins us here in Fiji to prepare us for a night dive and a confrontation at the bottom of the food chain.
Well, at the very bottom are the phytoplankton, tiny and humble. And yet, in terms of biological and environmental significance, they are giants. There are thousands of varieties of phytoplankton, which nearly all marine life is dependent upon. But so are we. Globally, phytoplankton produce more than twice as much oxygen and devour twice as much CO2 as the Amazon rainforest. In all, over half the planet's oxygen comes from these tiny organisms.
That means that every other breath of air you take is a gift from the ocean.
The next step up in the food chain is zooplankton, bizarre and mysterious creatures that we hope to encounter tonight.
Night dives are very special. It's not exactly fear, but there's an extra attentiveness, an extra thrill. The ocean floor is 6,000 feet below us. So on this moonless night, there is absolute darkness in every direction. You only see what you point your light at. You can sink deeper than intended, without noticing, and an attack would come with no warning. Why would we do this? To witness, of course, something like this.
It is the largest migration of any animal group on Earth, and it happens each and every night. The zooplankton float up from the very depths of the ocean, submit themselves to the will of the currents, the appetites of the sea creatures above them on the food chain.
Like the phytoplankton they feed on, many zooplankton species are microscopic. Others aren't, like these combed jellies, whose hair-like cilia refract our dive lights. In fact, they are probably the most delicate animals in the world.
Sparkling constellations. Nebula. Sputnik. I wonder, is this the final frontier? More humans have walked on the moon than the bottom of the deep sea. We know more about the surface of Mars than the submerged surface of our own planet. And life forms? Millions of species waiting to be discovered from the depths of this inner space.
In this state, it's easy to lose track of time. The zooplankton is not only mesmerizing, but challenging to film as well. So we spent more time down there than was anticipated, which meant that we needed an even longer safety stop on the way up.
A safety stop is a planned pause during an ascent to avoid decompression sickness or death.
And luckily, there was a lot to see at 15 feet while we waited. Remoras are classic freeloaders. With a front dorsal fin that acts like a suction cup, remoras can attach themselves to larger marine animals, for a free ride, free lunch, and the security a big host can provide.
The turtle seems displeased, but he might just be a squeamish patient, as the remora removes a parasite or dead tissue from his eye. Treatment for one, and a treat for the other.
Even during the turtle's dance of courtship and seduction, the remoras hang on.
In daylight, there's almost too many impressions. In darkness, you can focus. Colors are richer, and the familiar looks new. Here, nestled in the branches of soft coral, we find a true creature of the night that can be found here in Fiji, the Atlantic, and many other waters, the basket star.
They have no heart, no blood, and no brain. But they have a mouth and the good sense to fill it with the passing plankton. And if they must, the basket star uses its many arms to crawl to a better spot along the stream of nutrition.
Just nearby, an enigmatic encounter occurs between two arrow crabs. It made us wonder, is this about love or war?
A duel or a dance? Showdown or showing off? Whether it was courtship or combat, the outcome seems to be friendly. So, how about dinner?
And when the reef is healthy, there is abundance for all.
We leave the coral reefs and tropical waters of Fiji. We cross the equator, the international dateline, and nearly the entire Pacific Ocean towards the cooler waters off of California, and the next ocean habitat my father has chosen to explore.
And the dolphins escort us, as they did the Calypso of my youth. They are like the ocean's goodwill ambassadors, playful, friendly, and with smiles that seems to say, "Come with us, but come in peace." Okay, we can watch you play a bit, but then we must be off again. I have an important date to keep.
What kind of date do you have?
Ah, you shall see. Our next destination will show just how diverse the habitats are. The coral reefs are colonies of small, slow-growing sea animals. The kelp forest is in fact a fast-growing underwater forest of giant sea algae.
Off the coast of California, the conditions are just right. Cold, relatively shallow waters, and plenty of nutrients and sunlight. The coral reefs we saw in Fiji can grow 2, maybe 4 inches a year. The kelp that we see here can grow over 18 inches in a single day. The largest can be up to 175 feet long, but that's about the length of a giant sequoia tree.
Kelp provides food and shelter to a huge variety of species, from sea urchins and snails to seals and sea lions, and even the occasional gray whale. The gas-filled bladders keep the kelp's leaf-like fronds afloat near the surface. Through photosynthesis, kelp transfers energy and nutrients to the sea.
A bit farther out to sea, from the kelp forest of Santa Catalina Island, is the site of an incredible squid mating frenzy. I first witnessed it with my father right here over 50 years ago. It happens only once a year during winter, and I feared we were either too early or too late. But with incredible luck, we were right on time for this reproductive ritual.
These squid live for less than a year, so this is their only shot at procreation. The mating frenzy is hugely successful. The seafloor is carpeted with millions of egg cases. Each capsule contains hundreds of eggs. Many species, including us, are dependent on squid for food. Fishing practices are improving in some places, but the ultimate goal is sustainable squid harvesting globally.
The ultimate goal is sustainability, period.
Contrasts are striking. From our wet, wet world, we climb out onto the semi-arid steppes of San Jose Island. From a dive in the abundant vegetation of the kelp forest to a hike through these somber cactuses. The presence or absence of water determines nearly everything.
These giant cactuses approach heights of up to 60 feet and survive in this unforgiving climate for as long as 300 years. So, this cactus might have been around when George Washington was born.
They are greedy and efficient, grabbing every drop of rain and storing them for even drier days.
All life is connected with water across the planet. There is only one water system. The rains that fall on the highest mountaintops carve the landscape of Earth and make their way back to the sea.
Suddenly, it's all smaller and simpler. A rubber dinghy and snorkel gear, and the three of us together. My thoughts wander to the web of narrow rivers deep in the Amazon, where I've been on expeditions lately. In every way, far from a Cousteau's open ocean. My father's, my brother's, and my own independent projects are so different, and yet somehow connected. Maybe a bit like the separate arms of these inlets, always coming from and leading back to the ocean.
Tucked in these marshes on the southern tip of San Jose Island is a hidden world teeming with life. Here we find our next habitat, the mangrove.
Lining the edge of the water here are mangrove trees. Now, the mangroves survive in seawater because their roots have evolved to filter out salt. These roots, tangled and exposed above and below the waterline, offer an intricate, nutrient-rich haven and nursery. Some creatures will never leave this habitat, but for many other species, life begins here and continues out on the reef or open ocean. These delicate creations are single-celled organisms known as the mermaid's wineglass. The study of these plants advanced our understanding of DNA nearly a century ago. Sea cucumbers are the recyclers of the sea, combing the seabed in search of debris. Their mouths are surrounded with tentacles, which probe and gather whatever organic leftovers they might find. The sea cucumber can be as short as 1/10 of an inch or as long as 9 feet.
We can watch, but not touch. Maybe make eye contact, carefully, because the stone scorpionfish is one of the most venomous fish on Earth.
How easy it would be to step on a scorpionfish, mistaking it for a bit of rocky terrain. It will sting and discharge its venom that is potentially fatal.
This is a conch.
With infinite variety of form and function, they are like the pieces of an intricate puzzle. When all the species are present, the ecosystem is complete. And when all the ecosystems are thriving, then the ocean is complete and healthy.
But many pieces of those puzzles are missing today.
It's true, big pieces are missing, but my belief is that they are not lost forever. The ocean is forgiving.
Papa is growing impatient. He knows it's time to move on.
He keeps saying he has an important rendezvous.
The sun sets in the west, and on our Pacific adventure, we must move onward and eastward. I have an important rendezvous.
Like that.
I'm anxious and excited. It happens only once a year, so I cannot miss it.
What could it be?
Come on, Fabien. Next stop, Nassau. it will be February. Think big. You only pretend not to know, right?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, sharks.
Yeah, sharks have fascinated me since I was a kid. And ever since I saw Jaws, I wanted to set the record straight about this incredible animal.
Well, then please do.
It's true that sharks occasionally attack humans, but these are rare exceptions. Basically, we are not on their menu.
Fabien, give us the numbers.
Okay, shark attacks resulting in human fatalities, 12. On average, 12 humans killed by sharks per year.
And shark fatalities?
Through overfishing and bycatch.
Bycatch is the collateral damage of fishing. It's senseless death.
Right. And most horrifically, for use in shark fin soup. 100 million sharks per year.
That number is almost too big to fathom.
So, think of about a third of the U.S. population slaughtered every year.
Yeah, think about that.
There lay thousands of miles of ocean and millions of years of evolution between the plankton at our journey's start and these sharks near our journey's end, the bottom and top of the food chain.
Sharks are amongst the world's most ancient predators. Through the ages, they've honed their hunting skills and overcome every environmental challenge except one: industrialized humans.
Another threatened inhabitant of the reef, and amongst its most important predators, are groupers. This one here is a permanent resident of this sunken ship.
Through their selection of prey, top predators like sharks and groupers play a critical role in balancing the complex web of life.
It's not long now, maybe only a day or two till my special meeting. These waters around Nassau are teeming with reef life, so there's plenty to watch while we wait. Not alone. Who is this? Lurking on the sandy bottom? Also watching? Also waiting.
It's difficult to view a stingray swimming over the seafloor and not think of flight. Of huge wings, a majestic bird gliding, cruising in slow motion over a lush terrain.
I never did build the submerged structures I dreamed of as a child, but I always marvel at how the ocean colonizes wreckage, rebuilds, and renovates with life. Moray eels may look like snakes, but they are simply a very long, thin fish. They are found in warm ocean reefs worldwide, with a variety of size, colors, and patterns. They can reach length of up to 14 feet. The gaping mouth is not a threat, it's just breathing. This killer shrimp grooms the moray in exchange for scraps it removes. The eel seems generally grateful, like I generally appreciate my dentist.
Life expectancy on a reef diminishes dramatically for creatures that just hang out in the open. So finding a suitable shelter is vital. And some species like this spiny lobster or the slipper lobster need to find a new hiding place every single day. Some days, they may compete for the same nook or cranny. The spiny lobster finds a suitable spot first. It backs in. The slippery lobster stops, maybe hoping that the spiny lobster will suck blood. His entrance block, no vacancy, man. And the slipper drudges on.
Come, I want to show you some of the biggest, scariest, most ruthless predators in these waters.
Papa,
By burrowing into the reef, these sea monsters make perfect hiding places.
Papa, we're grown-ups.
Oh, just let him.
We're not buying that silliness.
Beware, my friends, these terrors of the deep. Guppies and blennies.
Maybe not big and scary, but big in number. These tiny creatures can make up a third of the population on a reef. So they are an important staple for the larger fish like cod, haddock, and flounder. They usually burrow into rock or coral themselves, or in pairs, but sometimes get help from a willing shrimp.
Speaking of insatiable terrors of the deep,
Okay, Papa, enough.
No, this time it's true. The
The
lionfish.
Their extravagant beauty is meant to confuse predators and prey alike. The lionfish is an unstoppable hunter with a big appetite, consuming up to 40 small fish in an hour.
Inside their fins are venomous spines, which discourage would-be predators. For humans, the poison can cause convulsions, heart failure, and even death. Lionfish sneak up slowly and then attack with lightning speed.
The lionfish is a native of the Pacific Ocean and was accidentally released in the Atlantic.
Because it has no predators in these waters, the lionfish population has exploded here, seriously reducing the juvenile reef fish population.
So even small, unintentional actions can have great consequences, disturbing the sensitive balance of nature.
My all-time favorite animal always makes me think. Like us, they are highly advanced, but because our evolutionary paths diverged 600 million years ago, we have developed in radically different ways. In fact, we may never come closer to alien intelligence than this, the octopus.
A formidable hunter. An octopus ambushes its prey by covering large areas with its parachute-like body. Below, tentacles will grab, and a venomous bite will kill.
They shift colors and patterns to match their surroundings with astonishing speed, because their skin can think. Octopuses recognize faces, can tell people apart, and even in identical dive suits, they can grow fond of certain humans and hold grudges against others. And in an environment where shelter equals survival, they are the ultimate contortionists. It seems that no space is too tight or uncomfortable.
My father called the octopus the soft intelligence of the sea.
I think it's time to explain about this rendezvous you've hinted at for the last 8,000 kilometers.
Okay. The migration of the great hammerhead shark is This is a dead reef. All life is gone. It is no longer the home of countless life forms as in the reefs we saw earlier. According to the United Nations, about 20% of the world's coral reefs are now dead. Many more are damaged or endangered.
This desolation is overwhelming. It should be required viewing for decision makers everywhere.
Coral reefs are not important to save because they are pretty. They are important to save because they are crucial to the health of our planet.
And we know why this is happening. Ocean warming is one major cause. Another is ocean acidification, which is caused by greenhouse gases.
All the habitats we've visited, coral reefs, kelp forests, sandy bottoms, mangroves, where the greatest abundance of marine diversity thrives, all have one thing in common. They are near land. They are near their most fortunate beneficiary and biggest threat, us.
We spill oil. We dump chemicals, raw sewage. and plastics and unimaginable waste into her. Meanwhile, land and air pollution are equally damaging for the oceans and ultimately mankind.
This is the ocean we dream of, and it can be a reality even where there is desolation today, because life returns when the conditions are right. The ocean forgives.
Today, environmental organizations, activists, and ordinary citizens around the globe are championing an array of environmental causes, among them the establishment of marine protected areas.
Marine protected areas are like the national parks of the ocean. Governments around the world are beginning to listen and to act slowly.
So far, only about 4% of the oceans are marine protected areas. But it is an important step in the right direction. One of many.
Ultimately, this is about our will to survive through our ability to adapt. The ocean survives without us. We don't survive without the ocean. Or, as my good friend Sylvia Earle once said, no water, no life. No blue, no green.
You know something? I couldn't have said it better myself.
For me, this voyage has been about connections. Connections between habitats, between the ends of the food chain, the ends of the earth, between us and the ocean, and between generations. That's why we are all here.
I kind of picked up on that.
I don't believe in dynasties any more than my father did. But we have a family passion that is hard to escape.
Impossible, I'd say.
Well, your father entrusted you with a certain legacy.
He did. And somewhere down the road, I might do the same.
Take your time, Papa. Out there are still so many wonders.
We may share.